Tupac was an extraordinary figure. And his obsession with death, with God, you know, somebody help me, tell me where to go from here, because even thugs cry, but do the Lord care? I mean, he was hollering, shouting, begging for intervention. Even as he rushed toward the grave, he was begging for somebody to put the brakes on him. And I think that his own recklessness, his own genius, his own embrace of the abyss, even as he sought to elevate those who were caught in its ugly grasp, makes him the defining figure of his generation. And his self-destruction and his love and hope for black people define an ambiguity that is characteristic of his genius and that makes him the perfect symbol of a divided soul of a young generation.
You know, out of the love for black people. So that's how I gotta live, and that's how I have to die. And that's how my music has to be, and my acting, and my producing, and my interviews, everything has to be for the love of black people.
I'll always remember the night they took my homeboy. I try to block it out, but it replays in my mind again and again. Now in my heart is where I'll keep Tupac. And now half my heart is filled with death. To Tupac, I'll always miss you. You are the voice of our generation. If there's one thing I want all of his fans to know, it is this. Tupac had a truly loving heart. No matter what you hear or what you read, believe me when I tell you his heart was filled with love. I know why so many of you want to believe he's still alive in this world. You're all hoping to hear from him again. You will in his music, but the truth is, he's in a better place. A place where he has found peace and his heart is trouble-free. This documentary is dedicated to the memory of Tupac Shakur. But before I end this page, I'd like to lift my hat for one final salute to that young, brave black brother. Rest in peace. Pac, I'll miss you. One love.
Because, like, you know, there's racism. So when the Panthers hit, the government panicked, and they had a thing called a COINTELPRO, and they felt like the Panthers were detrimental to American society, so they raided every Panthers house, especially the ones who they felt like could do the most damage as an orator. Mm-hmm. So my mother was 7 months pregnant. They put a match to the door and said, "Fire, fire." And you know, it's like 5 in the morning, so my mother opened the door and they just burst in, put a shotgun to her pregnant belly, and put a gun to her head and said, "Don't move, bye, bye, bye." It said, "You're under arrest."
Born Lassane Parrish Crooks on June 16, 1971 in Brooklyn, New York, Tupac's mother changed her name to Afeni Shakur and her son's name to Tupac Amaru Shakur, moving from New York to Baltimore and eventually to Marin City, California. Tupac's life fell into desperate times. As a teenager moving from place to place, Tupac began to rely on his skills as a rapper to survive. Eventually, Tupac joined the Oakland-based group Digital Underground as a roadie and ultimately landed a spot on the single Same Song. That single led to a record deal with Interscope Records, where he recorded his first album, Tupacalypse Now. Tupac's first album reflected his militant upbringing, a change from the fun-loving artist that performed with Digital Underground. His subsequent work covered every topic imaginable, including life on the street, friendship, and a haunting premonition of his own death. Tupac's life outside of music and movies was as controversial as the characters he portrayed in films. In 1993, Tupac was involved in a shooting incident in Atlanta, Georgia with 2 off-duty cops. That same year, he was involved in a fight with a limo driver in Hollywood, California, who accused him of using drugs in his car. Later, Tupac spent 10 days in jail for taking a swing at a Lansing, Michigan rapper. With all of these accusations surrounding Tupac, his name became a launching pad for politicians and religious leaders as the symbol of everything wrong with rap music.
Names like Tupac Shakur, Flavor Flav, Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Reverend Calvin Butts is leading a crusade against violent rap from his pulpit in Harlem.
We're not against rap. We're not against rappers. But we are against those thugs.
Yes, I am going to say that I'm a thug. That's because I came from the gutter, and I'm still here. I'm not saying I'm a thug because I want to rob you and rape people and things. I'm a businessman. I mean, you know I'm a businessman because you find me at my places of business. You don't find me up in you know what I'm saying? I don't understand this. I don't understand
What do you
this.
think about the joke? Thug life meant the hate you gave little infants, everyone. I mean, it was an acronym meant to talk about the difficulty of young black kids.
Thuglife. The hate you gave little infants, UCK, everybody. Meaning, what you feed us as seeds grows and blows up in your face. That's thug life.
I don't think that the music or the artists that express those realities are creating the violence. I think they're the messengers. I think you don't shoot the messengers.
Basically, gangster rap, I guess it's like telling the real and not holding back, giving up, you know, the reality from the street point of view. And like by us being from the streets, we know how to report it. I tell, you know, basically what's going on.
The fact is that there are a lot of gangster records right now. There's a lot of voices for people who had no voice before.
Always had the oppressor wanting to call our women bitches, but we always fought against it. We didn't spread it, or to call us niggas. We always fought against it. We didn't perpetuate it.
But now it's your own people calling.
Now we're getting paid to say that which we've always fought against.
Hip-hop culture in general has nurtured at its heart this femophobia, this disdain for females. And it comes across in the bitch and the hoe and the skeezer and the slut and the hood rat. It comes across in the extraordinarily powerful virulence that they express toward women. And it's an interesting dualism. I love my mama, hate my baby's mama, right? And so if mother is eligible for erotic union, she's hated. If she's by virtue of her lineage, that is being my real mama, then she's adored and elevated. And I think that this mother love and mother hate, this mother attack and mother disparagement and mother embrace is the characteristic symbol of hip-hop culture.
Nowhere was this duality more evident in the music of Tupac Shakur. His music reflected his reality, and at times he referenced women with derogatory terms. However, he also showed a level of responsibility with songs such as Dear Mama and Brenda's Got a Baby.
Indeed, the rap artists have a responsibility. Those who pay them have a responsibility. But those who set the context have an even greater responsibility. If there were not such easy access to guns and drugs and so much unemployment and so much abandonment, the rapping would be abstract. The painful reality is that the rapping is real. And somehow I get the impression that basic white mass media was to focus on rap and not reality. And I say, if you're going to cover violence, cover reality, not just rap. Rap is an extension of the culture. Let's break up the violence in the culture. And I hope y'all put that on camera because that's real. I mean, don't just pick and choose stuff out of here to fit me on one side and the rappers on the other. These are our children in trouble. They are in pain.
No matter what y'all think about me, I'm still your child. You know what I'm saying? You can't just turn me off like that.
In 1994, he was accused of raping a young woman he met at a New York nightclub. Tupac, however, maintained his complete innocence throughout the trial.
Well, I just had to listen to the prosecution's closing argument, and it was just so far from the truth that it really just has me drained at the end of the day. But I'm leaving it in the hands of the jury. I'm learning a lot about people's innermost fears in this trial because it's not even about my trial no more. It's just about loud rap music, tattoo having thugs. It's not even about me no more. It's about, you know, some nightmare that these people having.
She's talking about thug life and all that, trying to...
He's definitely guilty. Anybody with thug life tattooed on their stomach is guilty. What type of reasoning is that? You know what I'm saying? We got different backgrounds. We come from two different places. Just because I look different than her doesn't mean that I'm a sodomizer or a raper. They've said it in the... I can't understand why it's this close. They talking about there's no evidence that I ever sodomized her, even though you put that all over the paper. And every time they take a quote out of this courtroom, they take a quote from out of her mouth, which is, you know, the stuff to put me in jail. It's nothing that's been true. I just want print the facts so everybody can sort it out. My life is ruined because nobody has a chance to get the facts.
You know, I interviewed quite a few women who knew Tupac, who loved him, and to a woman, and women who didn't know him. No one believes that, that he actually was guilty of the sexual abuse charge.
And the fact is that there was no semen found.
No semen found, no forcible entry, no entry into the anal, no nothing, none of that. You know,
and no fingerprints on the gun.
No fingerprints on the guns, you know what I'm saying? The only time ever there was an act of sodomy, she admitted she did it to me. I should be, you know, putting charges on this girl who sodomized me on the floor of a dance club. Why am I in court? You know what I'm saying? Get my life ripped apart. But I'm here, I'm gonna go through it just to show that I have faith in the American system. But for me to have faith in the American system, these juries and everybody else has to, you know what I'm saying, play the same role and to keep an open mind. I'm already convicted. My whole life has been turned around. I lost every job, I lost everything, every opportunity. I can't get buy cars, can't get rent, can't get none of that. But I'm still a survivor, you know, I'm still coming to court, still smiling, still signing autographs. But soon I'm gonna go crazy.
The little rape charge and all that, I was with him when he was doing above the rim. There's people in the street, you got caught out there, whatever. Yo, that hurt him. That cut him down.
I'm not guilty. People should look me in my eyes. They should look me in my eyes. And anybody that thinks I committed that rape should go get Brenda's Got a Baby and keep your head up and listen to him thoroughly. I have no patience for anybody that doubts me. None, at all. It's too hard out here. You know what I'm saying? If my people don't stand up for me, who is? I understand these white folks looking at me like that because they don't know me. They didn't hear keep your head up. That ain't no fluke. You know, keep your head up ain't no goddamn come up. I didn't do that for to be smiling in my face to say, oh, he's cool. I did that from my heart. So that if they do try to put a rape charge on me, my sisters could say he ain't about that. Now, if my sisters can't say that, you won't hear another keep your head up out my mouth.
On November 30th, 1994, while on trial for the rape charge, Tupac and his friends walked into Quad City Studios in New York City. Surrounded by gunmen, Tupac was robbed and shot 5 times, including twice in the head.
Shakur was apparently attacked by robbers as he and 3 other men arrived at a New York City recording studio early this morning. A man identified as Shakur's manager was also wounded. Shakur and his road manager are currently on trial on sex abuse charges.
To his doctor's amazement, Tupac checked out of the hospital that same morning and attended his court hearing bound to a wheelchair. He didn't want the jury or the court to think that the previous night shooting was a publicity stunt. Despite the courage it took for him to go to court, Tupac was still convicted of sexual assault charges.
Shakur was found guilty of sexually abusing a woman last November in a New York hotel room. The jury acquitted him of more serious charges, sodomy and illegal carrying a weapon. Shakur, who was shot 5 times Wednesday during an apparent robbery attempt, was not in the courtroom when the verdict was read.
I was how I became Tupac's bodyguard. I was working for Death Row Records. I was working in a studio, and I was a studio security, basically. And the artists would come into the studio, Tupac and various other artists, and I would have to greet them at the door when they came in and, you know, pat them down for weapons and things like that. Pac observed me, you know, several times as he came into the studio. At the time, I was actually bodyguarding Snoop and the Dog Pound. And we had a video shoot that we were doing in New York. At this video shoot, unfortunately, some things went wrong. There was a shooting on the set. And I stepped in doing my job. Basically, I don't want to call myself a hero, but I acted from the gunshots that I'd heard and I was the first one on the scene, and I pulled everyone out of the trailer. As I was pulling people out of the trailer and getting them secured into the van to get them away from the gunfire that was going on, one thing led to another. Everybody was safe. Everything turned out to be okay with that incident in New York. After the incident that night in December of '95, we went back to the hotel. A bunch of phone calls were made. We left New York the next day, got all of the artists out of there that night. The next day, we're back in LA. I get a phone call from Reggie and said, Suge want to see you. So my next day at the studio was going to be that Monday. I get to the studio that Monday, and Suge says, hey, Frank, what happened in New York? Calls me into his office. I go in, I talk to him, I told him exactly what happened with the whole scenario surrounding the shooting. Then he said, well, you know everybody is calling you a hero. I was like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, good job, man, good job. Reggie had assigned several different people to Tupac. I was one of them. Kevin Hackey was one. Kenneth Archer was 3. Cooper Hagen was 4. And Leslie Godwin was the 5th one. Tupac had literally 5 different, and we had a 2-day on, 2-day off type schedule where 2 guys would go on to give everybody a rest. I was working security at Club 662. I got a phone call from Reggie earlier that day, and he said that, hey, Suge wants to talk to you. I think that we got a proposition for you. And I go, what is it? What is it? And he goes, I'll talk to you when I get there. And I was like, no, what is it? He goes, it's concerning Tupac. They got there that night to 662, and Pac rolled up with Suge. And I went and greeted him, and I opened up the door to let him out. He was like, yo, Big Frank, you here, man? You here? I was like, no, man, what's up? He goes, man, you're going to be my bodyguard, man. I chose you to be my bodyguard. I was like, oh, cool, man. Right? I had no idea prior to that until he actually had told me. I had the idea of what Reggie had told me, that I was going to be working with Tupac, but I didn't know I was going to be his main security. As he explained it to me, I want to be his main security. Right after that, we did the fight in Vegas. And they performed and everything that night. We went back to LA after that weekend, and immediately after going back to LA that Monday, I was assigned to Tupac. From that moment on, it was Pac and I. You know, everywhere he went, I was with him. And we were rolling. Picture us rolling.
Frank and Tupac grew closer as friends as time went on. Everywhere Tupac went, Frank went. They were in. Frank took it upon himself to make sure Tupac kept the appointments of his busy schedule at death row.
Knowing they were his last days, movies, videos, the studio, those were the main 3 things that he was focused on, and he was doing it. We'd just be running around at 50 to 80 miles an hour, literally me driving behind him, following him to his appointments throughout that day. But we would always end up back in the studio, no matter what, because he was laying vocals and he was doing tracks. He was a lyrical, writing, miracle musician. We would stop at a store. He would see a store. He would tell me pull over, or tell the limo driver to pull over. He would run in, grab a pad, come out with a thing of big pens, and he would start writing. By the time we would go, as an example one day, from the Los Angeles courthouse back to his penthouse on Wilshire, he had a 2-3 pages written lyrics. And that night we would go to the studio and he would be laying the vocals to tracks.
I went from jail to bail to barely on probation. They got a player facing 3 strikes, and we might just blast. God bless the jail.
He wrote quickly and he wrote brilliantly. And he's like a poet, a pavement poet, so to speak, reflecting on the conditions of black people, especially poor black people, especially poor black males. What is most important about Tupac is the heart he had. He's like the hip-hop Allen Iverson, so to speak. His heart is huge. His heart is vulnerable. His heart is exposed, and it bled. through every lyric that he could imagine.
I could not be here breathing and be comfortable if I was really as bad as they was making it. You know, nobody could be around me. So for me to be this calm, I must have some kind of inner peace. And my inner peace is knowing that once everybody take the time to really see what type of person I am, you'd be surprised.
There was a situation that came about with my niece, and she's a paraplegic. And my sister had touched bases with the Make-A-Wish Foundation people, and they had it set up that my niece and there was another little kid was going to meet Janet Jackson. And originally they were going to meet her in LA. Then she changed it from LA to New York. The kid lived in New York and my family's from Chicago. So my family called me, my sister, and she said, hey, this ain't going right. Janet Jackson now is not gonna go to LA. She's gonna go to New York because she's got some other engagement or something like that, I'm assuming, in New York. And she decided to go to New York, and the kid that already lived in New York was gonna have the opportunity to still meet Janet Jackson. But the twist to that was, with artists and with the celebrities, when they meet with these kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, it's up to them how long that they want to spend with that child. So in this particular situation, my sister explained to me that it wasn't going to be for a very long time because she had a busy schedule. So the plan was, when they came from Chicago to California, was that she was going to spend a day with Tupac either at his home or in the studio or on a movie set. Well, that was 3 times more than what she was going to get with Janet Jackson on more of a personal level. You know, with Tupac, me being his bodyguard, and that being my family. Not only was he doing it for them as my family, because we had a different type of bonding friendship and relationship with one another.
Frank, why you showing up? Cut off sleeves. Make a nigga like this feel bad.
James, what's up, man?
I feel you, homie. Hey, I hope you Chinese if you got some Chinese tattoos on you. You Chinese? You don't know what the fuck they run on you, huh? That shit can say 2 egg rolls on you right now. That's it. Hey, get that. Ask somebody Chinese if you're watching this tape. Don't just say 2 egg rolls to go with hot sauce. Is that what this say? Niggas ain't Chinese, get Chinese letters like they been somewhere and shit. You ain't never left the block, nigga. Act like you was the China guy.
Bog be clowning everybody, man. We told him he missed his call. He should have been a comedian also.
Look at that, they got one too. This nigga got half
all the little homies.
One of them in Chinese.
I tell like Frankie to call you and then
Frankie, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Frankie? Yeah, tell Frankie to call me. Frankie, you call me when she tells you to call me Frankie.
Why? What's
Frankie goes to Hollywood. Hey, yo, Frankie. Frankie! Yo, Frankie!
And he records his food.
Why? Y'all call him Frankie?
Nah, we gonna call him Frankie.
Only our family call us that. Call me that,
shit forever now.
What y'all call him?
Frankie. Now we call him Frankie. Yo, Frankie, we got him, y'all. Frankie Knuckles. Frankie Knuckles up in this motherfucker. Frankie Knuckles.
No, what I do wrong? What y'all call him? For real, straight up. For real.
Frank.
Oh.
But now the E sound real extra, because you know Frank a little extra sexy and you know too sexy for some sleeves. Too sexy for some long pants.
Got your level.
Too sexy for some sleeves.
Rain down just a hair.
My name is so Frankie.
Just a hair. Rain down just a little.
My family came out June 10th of 1996. That day, June 10th, Tupac was going to be in the studio. We were more than likely done on the set of Gridlock that day. I called up the family and said, okay, this is where we're going to be. This is how you get there. They came out. When they came out, Tupac greeted them with arms open, you know, and he came into the studio, went back into his recording session, and he did something for my family, for my niece, that no one would have been able to get out of him at that point in time in his life, because he was working on movies, he was working on videos, and he was in the studio. He had a full schedule, more than a full schedule.
But if so, I gotta go. My niggas will always love me. Thug family ties. I know they want me to die, but I'ma survive. See the look in my eyes.
Hey, this is Lavika, and I'd like to give a shout out to all the Trey Wednesdays out there, HPG in the house. And I'm chilling up in the studio with Tupac and Coco G. And,
Go ahead.
okay, I'm out.
Alright.
Nah, for real though. You gonna let me come, for real, before Saturday.
No, for facts.
See.
Yeah.
You promise?
No promises. Promises made to be broken. I might get hit by a car and go to jail.
Oh, don't say that.
Just come see me. No
Okay.
doubt. You're welcome.
Okay then.
Just tell Frank.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here we go. Rolling. You be with me.
Make me a drink, dog.
September the 6th, prior to the day that Tupac was shot on September the 7th, I arrived in Las Vegas September the 6th, the day before. Tupac was not in Las Vegas at the time that I arrived. At that time, I had been on vacation, and I left home early that day, made it to Vegas, checked in, so when he would get here, I would be here. We stayed at the Luxor Hotel. That was the hotel of choice for Death Row Records. And I checked in, met up with some of my other homeboys. We hung out and everything. The next day rolls around as Saturday. I was looking for Tupac, anticipating when he was going to come, but there was a security meeting that Saturday at 12 noon. At that security meeting, it was set with a local attorney's office in Las Vegas, George Clinesis or something to that nature, and Right Way Security. So all of the security that was going to be in town for the Mike Tyson Selden fight, we had a meeting that day. That day, we were told not to bring our weapons into the club after the fight, not to have our weapons on our person, to either leave them in our hotel room or to leave them in our vehicles. Several of us had talked about it, and we decided we'll leave our weapons in our vehicles, and we'll leave the vehicles obviously in the parking lot because we're going to have to drive them. So if anything jumped off, one person would have a weapon on them, but all of us would have our weapons in our car if we needed to get to them. So we wouldn't be weaponless having them in a room.
Let me ask you this. Has there ever been a situation where you were told to leave your weapon prior to this?
We were never told prior to September the 7th to leave our weapons anywhere other than the fact if we were going out of the state of California by airplane to a video shoot or on tour. We knew common sensely we couldn't carry a weapon on an airplane. So more than likely we would have left our weapons at that time, but we were never told, there was never a meeting held specifically to tell us to leave our weapons, period.
This was the first in a long line of unusual events that were to take place that weekend.
After lunch, I'm riding with Reggie Wright, going back. He asked me to ride with him. I said, okay, fine. He explained to me that my radio, which was a Nextel radio, a handheld set, and a telephone, that my backup bodyguard, which his name is Kevin Hackey, who was with Tupac while I was on vacation, had my radio and he was still in LA. And Reggie told me that he was pissed at Kevin because he did not turn in the radio. He was not where he supposed to have been at the time for me to get the radio, which would have been brought to Las Vegas. Reggie says to me, go look for Pac, he's here. I go, oh, he's here now? And he goes, yeah, he got in today. So I said, okay. So I go into the Lexor and I'm looking around for Pac. As I get in, he's at a table gambling, right? So I go over to the table and I'm like, Pac, what up? And immediately goes, Big Frank, you know, and all the little homies and stuff, Frank, Big Frank, where you been, man, where you been? You know, I explained to him, I've been on vacation, you know, this and that. So everything was cool. Pac is really, really restless. He says, hey, let's get out of here, man. He goes, I'm not feeling this casino. Let's go to another casino, right? So we say, cool. We go, where you want to go? He goes, let's go to MGM. So myself and another security, which his name is Michael Moore, he was with me during the time I was with Pac during the day, the earlier part of the day. And we walked over to the MGM. All of the outlaws, Tupac, Michael Moore, and myself. We get over to the MGM. He finds another crap table. He gets on a crap table. MGM is packed. It's a fight night, you know, fight day, fight night. And the MGM is packed. There's women everywhere, and there's people everywhere trying to get at Pac, right? So myself and Michael Moore are surrounding him, and the outlaws, they would act as well, and we would have people back, you know, to where they're back, and we got him up in the front, so he's secured. Pac's gambling, I mean, he's rolling big, and he's winning big, right? So he's rolling, he's winning, he's feeling good. So he says to me, hey, Frank, he goes, go over and call Reggie and find out what's up with Suge. So I'm like, all right. I go, don't leave. I'm gonna just go to the payphones. I pointed to him where the payphones were, and he goes, all right. So he's still gambling. I leave Michael Moore there. I told him what was going on. I go to the payphone. I call Reggie, and Reggie goes, give me a call back, you know, a little bit later, whatever. I'll, you know, find out from Suge what time he wants to meet up with Pac. So all right, cool. I go back to the table. Pac's gone. He's not there, right? So I'm like, shit. Where did he go? Pac has never left me, never, right? So I'm looking all around for him. I can't find him, right? I mean, I'm walking through the whole entire casino at this point. All of the tables thinking, where could he be? He's not there. Little did I know at that time that he had left me, which later on I found out that he had gone back to the Lexor. Michael Moore had taken him back over there. But I was walking the MGM, and I basically, little as I knew that I was scoping the exits, and I was going to find our way out of there later on come that night.
He was wandering the floor by himself without security. Frank made a call up to Michael Moore's room where he had gone to change clothes.
I went to my room. He told me to go to my room. I was like, you can't leave him like that, right? So I go, Pac, what do you want to do? He goes, man, I want to go to the MGM. He goes, fuck this shit, right? I was like, well, I'm not dressed, Pac. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, you go get dressed. Michael Moore, you stay with me. I said, all right. And he goes, and then when Frank gets dressed, you go get dressed and you meet us over at the MGM. So I go up to my room, I get dressed. I come back down, Mike, he takes off. Pac goes, come on, Frank, let's go catch a cab. I go, where we going? He goes, we're gonna go to the MGM. I said, you wanna walk over there? He goes, no, man, we're gonna catch a cab. So we catch a cab, we go to the MGM, we go through the front entrance. We get in the entrance, and it was just like a rat pack. Tupac. And everybody's running over there all, you know, Tupac. So the security was from the MGM. I asked them, could they escort us back to the Grand Arena area? So they said, yeah, no problem. Come on, let's walk around the crowd. We're gonna go behind them. So they went and got like 2 or 3 more guys, and they cleared a pathway behind the line that had formed for the fight. So we make it back over into the area. At this time, it's 7:30. Pac is anxiously pissed now. He's pacing, he's, this shit, man, this shit don't make no sense. Yeah. He goes, I didn't want to fucking come here anyway, Nothing makes any sense. It's Tupac, he's nervous,
He didn't want to be there that night.
He said, I didn't want to come here anyway, okay? So he goes, call Shook, call Shook. So I call Reggie. I go, Reggie, Pac is really getting antsy, man. He's getting pissed, right? He was very impatient, very impatient. So I go, what do you want me to do? He goes, well, hold up. I'm going to call you right back. Now, at this point, Tupac is with me at the payphone calling Reggie. So we get an answer back from Reggie, and Reggie says, Suge is on his way. I go, he goes, who's with you? I go, just me and Pac. And he goes, all right. So we're waiting, everybody's going in, and he's pissed. He's pacing back and forth. He's antsy, right? Saying, this fucking shit, man, Suge always do this, man. You always got to make the last entrance, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, he'll be here, man. He's chilling. He goes, no, man, fuck this, man. He goes, we should just go, man. He goes, we should just go. I said, whatever you want to do, Pac. As soon as I said that, we turned around. Here comes Suge. I don't know, one of the gentlemen that was with him, I didn't know who he was, and then one of his homeboys. And as the world knows, the fight was boom, 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 the fight was over. After the fight, Tupac's and Suge's thing was to go to the back where, Mike's dressing room. So we went backstage. We go backstage, and we're waiting on Tyson to come back there. And Pac's back there, he's all excited. His boy just knocked out Selden. 50 blows, he just hit him 50 times. You count him. So, I'm back there with him and everything, and Suge is back there. So Suge says something to Pac, and then the next thing I know, we're leaving. Tyson didn't even make it out the ring to come down. We walk out of the MGM back arena area. As we get out into the entrance area, we're looking for the rest of the, Suge's guys, the Death Row Posse, and then Pac's looking for the Outlaws, right? So after a fight, everybody met out there, and then everybody got together, and we went on about our business. This particular night, we're standing there, and we're looking for everybody, and then everybody shows up. Everyone shows up, and one of the homeboys, one of Suge's homeboys, his name is Trevon, he comes over and he whispers something in Pac's right ear, because I'm on his left. He whispers something. Next thing I know, Tupac takes off running. He took off running, and I went off running behind him, and when he turned the corner, there was this guy standing there. Little did I know who he was. He ran up to him, and he swung. And then the guy swung back, and then Pac weaved, and then Pac swung again. And at this time, there was like 3 or 4 blows thrown. Tupac had this medallion on that he had recently purchased, and it broke. When it broke, he went down to pick it up. When he went down to pick it up, I grabbed him. When I grabbed him, I threw him against the wall, so I had him out of the fight. At this time, everyone else is running up, as clearly the MGM footage shows. The guy is Orlando Anderson, now that we know who he is. They're into this brawl. And I have Tupac against the wall now at this point. The fight ended. We had to get out of there. Little did I know, earlier, when they had left me, I had already walked all through the MGM. So everybody's taking off, going in the wrong direction. I go, no, Suge, this way, right? And then he's like, no, this way. And I go, Suge, I was just here all day, this way. So they followed me, and we followed, got our way out, and we took off and walked back over to the Lexor. We get back over to the Lexor. Suge said, hey, I'm going to go up and change. Pac was there, I'm going to go up and change. We'll meet back down in the valet. All right, cool. He changed clothes from what he had on, a silk shirt and blue jeans, into a green sweatsuit type attire. He had a green tank top on and green sweatpants.
What about
The medallion had broke. He had it in his pocket. I fixed the medallion for him while we were sitting there in the room. I put it back together, and after I put it back together, they gave it to me. He goes, you fixed it? I go, yeah, man, I fixed it. He put it around his neck, right? I didn't know what the medallion was or what it stood for, because it was the first time I had seen it. Later on, I found out that that medallion was of his slogan, Euthanasia, which was his management company that he had started. And on the medallion was a black angel of death. eeriness of that and then other things that happened later on was just like mind-boggling to me after I had the chance to sit back and put all of the pieces of the puzzle together and look at everything. It became like, whoa. You know, there's a lot of weird coincidences going on after he was shot. We're down in the, at this time we left his room, we're down in the valet park and we're waiting on Suge. Suge shows up. While we're down in the valet, all of the hoochies, all of the groupies, everybody that knew Tupac and Suge was, Suge, can we go to the club? Suge, Pac, can we go? Suge said, let's go. He and Pac was walking to Suge's BMW. I'm walking with them. When we get to the car, Pac turned to me and goes, yo, Frank. He pulled the keys out, he handed me the keys. He goes, drive the little homies because we're gonna be drinking tonight and you'll be able to drive us back. So I was like, what car you want me to drive? He goes, drive Kadada's car. And I didn't even know where the car was. I go, where is it? He goes, it's right there. He goes, the homies will show you where it's at. So I was like, all right. So Suge gets in his car, he and Pac, and the entourage is starting to form now. Suge takes off, I'm right behind him. I'm the bodyguard on point. Theoretically and honestly, there should have been 3 or 4 more bodyguards with us that particular time, going from there, going to Suge's house, and going back to the club that night for the after party. Later on, I found out that with security, that there it was 22, about 20 to 22 security personnel for this night. Everyone was called to Club 662 to set up the security and get the people rolling in over there. So all of the security was there. Michael Moore, who was with me earlier that evening, supposedly had met us at the MGM. His story to me was Al Giddens, who was the supervisor now for security at this point, Al Giddens told Michael Moore to fuck that. You go and come to the club. And he was like, well, Tupac told me to come over to the MGM. He was like, no, we need you over here. You get over here. So Mike went over to the club. So I was the only one left with Pac. Keep in mind, my weapon was in my car. I didn't have a phone. I had no way of communication. Reggie was also over at the club. Reggie normally is Suge's bodyguard. And Reggie is always with Suge. That night, why he wasn't with Suge, only Reggie knows that. At this time, everyone in the car, not just me, looked at the gas and was like, yo, Frank, we're gonna run out of gas. I was like, what y'all want me to do, pull over and get gas? I go, you know, if we pull over, we lost them, right? So I said, I can't pull over. I might as well take the chance and run out of gas, right? Thinking we're just gonna go to Suge's and from Suge's back to the club. But the light had been on forever at this point, on the gas light.
How long were you all at Suge's house?
When we got to Suge's house, we were at Suge's house probably a good 30 minutes. Suge went in, he changed clothes, and they were all just BSing a little bit. When Suge finally came out, hopped in his car, when we came through the security guard that guards the homes going into Suge's place, there had to been 20, 30 cars out on the road just waiting for us to come out to follow us. We leave out of Suge's, again, we're flying 70, 80 miles an hour going back toward Las Vegas Strip. We get back on the Strip at this point, and why the car didn't run out of gas is a miracle right now to me, because it should have. We get back on the Strip. We're proceeding to go down the Strip. It's a fight night. The fight's over. The Strip is jam-packed, crowded. We're probably about in front of the Excalibur Hotel, which is right by Tropicana on Las Vegas Strip. Tupac and Suge was in the car in front of me, and their music was playing pretty loud because we could hear it. And there was bicycle cops. A couple of bicycle cops pulled up, and one of them went over to Suge's side and asked him, I guess, to turn down the music, I'm assuming. And then the next thing I know, Suge opens the door, steps out of the car. He and a cop walks to the back of the car, and he opens up the trunk. The car was brand new, didn't have a license plate on it. So he looked in the trunk, and I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, oh shit, I hope they don't get popped. He let him go. So now we're still in gridlock traffic. So we proceed to go down the strip. We're going down the strip. Pac and Sugar up there doing their thing, talking. Myself and Outlaws were in there, listening to their music. We get to Flamingo off of Las Vegas Strip. We got to turn right. We make a right off of the strip. The next light is Colville. Little did we know that anything was about to happen. We pull up to the light. I am the second car. Actually, I'm the third car. One of Suge's homeboys was in front of Suge, which never, ever, ever happened with anyone being in front of Suge. Then another one of his homeboys, Trevon, was to the left of Suge, which would have been to his side of the car. So you got Trevon to the left, you have K-Dove in the front, and you have me in the back. And we're sitting at this light. It's September, it's hot, sticky, and we're all just sitting there pretty much just vegging out, waiting on the light to change. Then all of a sudden, I noticed this white Cadillac. Cadillac pulls up, and it was not like a thought of mine that something was about to happen, because in the entourage, as we're proceeding to go to Club 662, women are like, yo, Pac, Suge, and can we go? Groupies and things like that. So it was not anything out of the ordinary for this car to be pulling up, thinking that something's gonna happen. And as soon as the car pulled up, my head turned back and I'm looking and I'm watching the car. Malcolm, who is sitting in the seat behind Yak Fula was in a passenger seat with me up in the front. And Kay Castro, was directly behind me. Before the Cadillac pulled up, we're all just vegging. They're looking out toward the right. Cadillac pulls up, we notice it. And then all of a sudden, this arm comes out. And the arm comes out. And it just started firing immediately. And I'm like, oh my God. And all you see and all you hear is...
This Dodge truck was Suge's car, and the next vehicle, if one were to come up, would be my car, where I was at. The Cadillac rolled up right alongside of where this Dodge truck is. That Dodge truck representing the BMW, that is where the arm came out and fired into the car. The white Toyota Camry right there would be me. That would be me, and the rest of the cars would be the entourage. The rest of these cars on this corner, they weren't here. The Cadillac rolled up, shot into the car, and took off and made a right on Colville right here. There was no traffic right here. These were open lanes.
And all you see is the smoke. And I just like, oh my God. And I opened up the door and I jumped out and I ran up to the back of the BMW. As I got up to the back of the BMW, as soon as I got to the trunk, I'm thinking, they're dead. There's absolutely no way in the world that these two guys are alive. The car takes off and does a U-turn. I run back to the car, hop in the car, and I busted a U-turn also. And here we are now going back to the strip, going back, because Suge, I'm assuming, thinking he's going to a hospital, trying to get Tupac to cops or ambulance, emergency services, whatever, would be on the strip.
This corner that we're standing on right here now, this is Las Vegas Boulevard and Harmon. After the shooting that took place on Flamingo and the Colville, Suge did a U-turn. When he did that U-turn, he came back onto Las Vegas Boulevard. When he came back on the Las Vegas Boulevard, he was going south. He got to Harmon, he took a left turn. By that time, the car broke down in this area right here. Actually, right there, just before that light.
Actually, we were kind of pretty far down the street when it happened. We didn't know if we heard gunshots, or we didn't really know exactly what we heard. We heard a lot of screaming, a lot of cars screeching. We were just hanging out, taking photos at the time. We ran up the street as cops were running past us, and by the time we got here, they were already taking, which now I found out was Tupac, into the helicopter away. He had been shot.
You know what I'm saying? I'm selling records. This is what I do for a living. I'm selling records. Don't get it twisted. This is not my real life. This is not how my real life is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be really having all these villains in my life. I ain't think it was going to be a matter of life and death.
My name is Brent Becker. I'm a homicide detective with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And I became involved in the Tupac Shakur case because I was one of 2 on-call detectives that evening.
Now, by you being a homicide detective, how come you became involved with the case and at that point in time when there was no homicide?
Let me explain how certain things work. Okay. During the weekends and evenings, we have what's called general assignment detectives, and they are the ones who are called out to major crime scenes to handle them. During a normal workday, middle of the week, we're in the office. If there's a case that we would be involved with, we would be called out on that. In this particular case, it was an attempt to murder at that time because the detectives working that night became aware of who was involved as the victims. They knew that it would probably become a media type case and deferred it off to homicide because it was an attempt homicide at that point, and we do investigate those also.
Kathy Scott, I'm a journalist and author, independent journalist now. I was with the Las Vegas Sun for 5 years, covered the police beat, which is why I covered the Tupac Shakur murder. There weren't any reporters on the scene. No one, because of the fight, and a lot of reporters heard it on the scanner, but no one could get to it. So no one was at the scene of, both scenes. No one was there until the next day. And then everybody showed up at the hospital, but no one was actually, no reporters or photographers at the crime scene.
So you didn't get there at all?
I didn't get there until the next morning, about 5:36 in the morning.
Okay.
The police at the second crime scene immediately were there because by the time Sugar's car had broken down, the shots had already ranged out. All of that was already a known factor at that point that something had happened and the vehicles had done a U-turn and was headed back toward the Las Vegas Strip. The police were immediately there when I finally got there, which was a minute, maybe a minute behind him. So they were there. The ambulance, the paramedics, I would say, were immediately there as well because they had gotten a call. Had they been 2 or 3 minutes late, he would have died right there. They had Suge out of the vehicle on the ground, laying on the ground. And as I was approaching him, the blood was shooting up out of his head, right? So I'm yelling, let him up, let him up. He's with us. He was part of the entourage. So the cops go, who are you? I go, I'm the bodyguard. I go, I was with them. I'm the bodyguard. I go, he's a victim here. So they let him up. And when they let him up, Tupac is still sitting in the passenger seat. The door is still closed. The paramedics are over there trying to open the door along with the police. They can't get the door open. So Suge says, I can do it, it's my car, I'll open it. The door was actually stuck. So Suge got over there, opened the door, and we pulled Pac out of the car. When we pulled him out of the car, we lined him down on the side of the car, and I'm kneeling down at this time, and I'm talking to him like, Pac, man, Pac, Pac. And he's like, he's trying to breathe. And then he goes, I can't breathe.
the witness, you know, the members of the entourage and pushing, you know, forcing them on the ground, lay on the ground, didn't make them necessarily amenable to talking to the police about it.
Well, what I was told by some of the members was the way they were treated by the police. I guess I can understand their feelings, but there's also the flip side to that, in that at the time all this is going on, the officers responding had no clue what was happening. Who was the good guy, who was the bad guy, and they dealt with the situation as a felony crime in progress, possibly these being the suspects. So I'm sure things were a little harsh at that time. When I got there, again, I'm there much later. I'm just trying to get some information out of people, and they didn't seem too receptive to talk to me. There were people that talked to me, but they weren't totally forthcoming with the information at that time.
No leads or suspects were given at that time.
It was pretty weak at that time because the majority of the people weren't really wanting to talk to us. I know that there were some reasons behind that, and that probably slowed things down a bit. The day after, right off the bat, we're wanting to talk to the guy that's in the car with Tupac Shakur, Suge Knight, and we're working right away with that. And in fact, the night of the shooting, we tried to talk to him, but were refused access to him by the members of death row, attorneys. And in fact, it took 3 days to get to talk to Suge Knight.
After the shooting, the night after the shooting, I was in my hotel room. I got a phone call from Reggie telling me to come over to Suge's house. I go over to Suge's house, and everyone is there. Everyone is there, and everybody's tripping. You know, there's not a whole lot of conversation going on, but you know, everybody is just like in disbelief that it happened. You know, Suge, you know, eventually called me into his office at his house, and he goes, "Frank, I want to talk to you." I go into the office with him, and we're talking, and he goes, "Frank, what happened?" I was like, "Suge." I go, "First, why did we go down the strip when it was so crowded?" I go, "I would have turned on Tropicana and went the back way." And he said, "Yeah, I know that way too." He goes, "But I wanted to go the other way. I have to follow him, so I can't turn and, you know, lose him." That was our conversation, and we just basically went over everything that had happened, how it happened, and what I had seen, and you know what he knew, and the events. We reacted the events with one another in private.
I started digging deeper because it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a regular homicide investigation. I've been to lots of homicide scenes. I've covered lots of crimes, and it just didn't feel like it just didn't feel like an active investigation, you know. And as we know now, it really doesn't appear as if it was. There were lots of people who weren't interviewed. There were lots of sort of, I don't know if you call them mistakes, but sort of decisions that were made at the time that didn't lend to gathering very much evidence. So.
And what mistakes are those?
Well, I think there were some decisions that were made, like the bicycle cops and the decision to leave the scene of the crime. You know, they took off, they left the scene of the crime. There were basically two scenes, one where they were shot, where Tupac was shot and Suge was shot, and the scene where the car ended up, the car they were in. But the scene with witnesses, and who knows who was there and left, that scene was not secure for 20 minutes. So all the spent bullets, the cars, everything, witnesses, gone and driven over and walked over and whatever else. And it was
On September the 12th, I had flown home actually about the 11th. I went home. I told Reggie I needed to go home because I needed a change of clothes. I needed clothes because we were going to be there for the rest of the week. So Reggie said, okay, go ahead. We'll get you a flight out, and he goes, come back tomorrow. And I said, that's no problem. I said, I just need to go home and get some clothes and get some more stuff. So he goes, okay, no problem. I went home, prepared myself, got everything I needed. The next day comes, it's September the 12th. I go to my hotel room, I check in, I tell Reggie I'm back. Reggie says, okay, stick around because Suge is going to want to see you tonight. I said, okay. So, you know, I just hung out that day. The nighttime comes, I get a phone call. Reggie goes, be at Suge's at 9 o'clock. I go, okay. I go over to Suge's house. It's 9 o'clock at night, September the 12th. And no one was there. It was just Reggie and Suge. Reggie meets me at the front door, and he goes, hey, he goes, Suge is really upset. He goes, he's really hot-tempered right now. He goes, if he says something to you or something like that, don't worry about it. He probably really doesn't mean it. I was like, all right. I said, you know, I'm cool. So we go, and he goes, we're going to go out by the pool. I said, okay. We go sit down by the pool.
Now, this is the infamous red pool.
It wasn't red. It was the pool had the Death Row emblem painted on the bottom of the pool, which had recently been done, and the light shining on it was a red light, and the bottom of the pool was red, basically. And, you know, Suge is sitting with his back to the pool. I'm facing him, so I'm looking directly at the pool. Reggie is sitting to my right. Suge starts talking to me. He was like, you know, Frank, the detectives are going to want to talk to you tomorrow. They're going to want to talk to you, blase, blase. He goes, you know, just remember everything that happened, and, you know, just let them know, basically. So I'm like, all right, you know, so we talked a little bit more conversation. And then he says to me, he goes, I know you loved pot. You know, I said, yeah. He goes, I loved him too. I was like, I know. He was like, this is just bad. He goes, it's bad. I go, I know. You know, that conversation and that meeting was way different from the night of the shooting to the next day when I met him at his house. So now I'm thinking like, you know, what's going on? I started feeling kind of strange. I had an eeriness come through my whole body right there.
Gangster rap star Tupac Shakur underwent a third operation last night to correct internal complications stemming from the drive-by shooting. He remains in the intensive care unit at University Medical Center in Las Vegas.
He is severely injured internally. He has multiple gunshot wounds to the chest.
5-year-old rapper was in the backseat of a black BMW, part of an informal convoy of 10 cars, when Las Vegas police say shots were fired from a passing white Cadillac. Yesterday, the Reverend Jesse Jackson arrived and said a prayer at Shakur's bedside. We've been informed that doctors have told the family members that they expect the rap star to once again recover from his injuries. Conan Nolan for NBC News, Las Vegas.
The next day is September the 13th, okay? September the 13th, 1996 fell on a Friday. My shift started with Tupac at 8 o'clock that morning. Prior to my shift starting, Reggie told me to stay away from the family. He goes, they're really angry at you. I go, why are they angry at me? He goes, because, you know, her son is laying up in the hospital dying. And I'm thinking, okay, right? So now I'm thinking I can't talk to Yasmin, who is Tupac's assistant at Euthanasia, and I can't talk to, we called her Mama Shakur. I couldn't talk to Afeni. So now I'm thinking, oh, great, right? So basically, that whole day was trying to avoid them. Ironically, when Reggie had told me that before I got into the hospital, I pull up, a van pulls up behind me, and it's Afeni and her sister, Gloria. They get out, and they walk into the hospital. I let them go in front of me. They go toward the back. I walk right behind them, and I go in there. I, you know, relieve the other guy that was on, and Pac's still laying in there, right?
I'm sitting there in the chair outside the room, and Afeni and her sister, they're standing inside there with Pac looking at him. Then a doctor comes, which was his doctor. The doctor comes and goes into the room with Tupac and Afeni and Gloria, and they go out of the room into the room right next door. And the door's open, and they're sitting down. The doctor sits down, Afeni or either Glow, one of them, they sat on the floor, and the other one was sitting next to the doctor, and they're talking. And I'm watching them the whole time, right? And I see the facial expressions, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm sitting there, man, and I'm just like falling apart inside. Then Afeni walks out, and she sat down next to me. And when she sat next to me, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. She sat next to me, and I put my hand on her hand, and she said, "It's okay, Frank." That was the last time that I spoke to her. Little did I know, Pac was dying, and she had gotten this news to make a decision. The day goes on. There's a zillion people coming by to see Tupac. Actually, Snoop came that day. Snoop came, and my other homeboys was with him, Marcus and Kenneth, and a lot of celebrities, a lot of people showing up, right? So my shift is getting close to ending. It's probably about 3 o'clock. The next two guys came on. And, I'm just like hanging around the hospital a little bit, and I get a phone call, and it's Reggie. And Reggie says, "Get over to Suge's now, right now." Then all of a sudden, my pager starts blowing up. I'm getting 50 phone calls from people from, death row saying, "Get to Suge, hurry up, it's an emergency, get to Suge. Suge needs you right now. It's a meeting, get there." So finally, and then I get a phone call from my homeboy, Larry. And then I go over to Suge's, I get there, Reggie meets me outside. There's a zillion cars at Suge's driveway, right? Reggie meets me outside, and he goes, "Look," he goes, "I don't know what's gonna happen." He goes, "But just go along with it and be real cool about it." He goes, "I'm right here." He goes, "It's bad, it's real bad." So now at this point, I'm like crying on the inside, like, what? So I go sit down again at the pool, but this time there's several people at the table. There's Suge, David Kenner, his attorney. There was another gentleman, I don't remember his name, and then two of Suge's homeboys, and then Reggie. And Reggie basically is standing behind me, right? And I'm sitting next to Suge, and I do mean next to Suge, right? And Suge is hot. He's mad. And little did I know that Tupac was dying. And this is the reason for this atmosphere right now. Suge is asking me all kind of questions about what happened, security, where was your gun, security this and security that. And I'm sitting there and I'm feeling like, oh shit, I'm taking the heat. So I look at Reggie like, these are security questions. You need to answer these questions. So Reggie wasn't answering them. So I said, sure. I go, I don't own Right Way Security. I work for Reggie. I go, there should have been more security with us. I go, I had already asked you and told you that we needed more bodyguards on Pac. I go, I asked for more security. I go, he goes, well, what happened to Michael Moore? He was with you that day. I said, he was called to go back over to 662. And every answer I gave Suge was answers that Reggie should have been giving Suge or Suge should have known. So then Suge says to me, he goes, no, I'm sorry, he says to Reggie, he goes, Reg, he goes, what's up? What was the breakdown in security? And Reggie was like, well, and Al was a supervisor, and now here's the finger being pointed again. So I'm sitting there still, and then all of a sudden the phone rings, right? Suge gets the phone, he had the phone, he answers the phone, and he stands up, and he throws the phone, bang, right across the table, right?
I'm like, oh shit. I looked at the pool and I go, I'm going for a swim. That's just how I felt. He turns around and he says, can nobody fucking save him now? And he's in tears, right? And he goes, he just died. And I just start crying, right? As I'm crying, and I'm just like, Suge walks away. Everybody at the table just gets up and everybody walks away. Reggie looks at me and he goes, go, he goes, go pack your shit, get out of Vegas. I'm thinking, why?
Shakur's heart and respiratory system simply were overtaxed by the devastating gunshot wounds he suffered in a bold ambush a week ago. Word of his death brought legions of followers. Police have yet to identify any suspects, and now Shakur has died before detectives could even try to speak to him.
Show my respect for Tupac. Brother was a good brother.
His words really give us strength to keep on moving and look forward to another day.
A lot of people's touched by it, not just rap music artists, listeners, lovers, but a lot of people, older people, is touched by this. It's a sad situation.
They came early and stayed late in Harlem, even in the rain, to remember Tupac Shakur and to promote peace in a rap world of violence.
We're here to say, well, let's make a turn from the bad to the good.
A lot of negativity out here, and the violence is going to take more than just Tupac just to stop. I still don't think people's going to learn from it. I still think a lot of stuff is going to go on, a lot of killing, a lot of violence still. They're not going to learn nothing.
It's a cold, cold day in the rap, hip-hop music world. In case you haven't heard, it's been all over the media, all over the news, all over the radio. Tupac, rapper Tupac Shakur has passed away.
I would like to say condolences to Tupac's family.
I think he was a great person. I learned a lot about him by reading about him and everything, and he did a lot of good stuff for his community.
Let's go for another one, High KCEP.
A lot of our young brothers out there will start to get along a little bit better and start coming up with your own 21 with it, the other one that he's mad dog with me. And we would live a happier life, and things like this wouldn't have to happen.
All right, sir, that's well put, and of course, we thank you for taking time out of your busy afternoon to call us and share that knowledge with us.
That's very good, and my condolences to the Tupac family.
Find out if Tupac died.
He passed over an hour ago.
Calls about Tupac Shakur came to V103 within an hour of his death.
Is it true he dead?
Yep.
DJs Greg Street and Sean Hudson call it an obvious loss to the rap industry.
It was a bad situation. I think he really got caught up into something that wasn't probably directed at him. It was just, something that happened.
I mean, I think that if he could have been able to continue where he was going, I think we could see a side of Tupac that, the people, he was going to grow to another level that he hadn't been at.
I started calling people, right? They're saying, dude, go get your shit, get out of Vegas, leave. I go, I can't even drive. Back to the car. Go. So, he died. Oh, really? He died.
I mean, eulogy was the characteristic mode of his rap career, especially near the end when he's speaking about if I die tonight, how many brothers fell victim to the street. And, you know, death, I see death around the corner. All of these issues. But death was always linked to him in his own rhetoric to suffering. So for him, the rhetorical acknowledgement of death was always linked to its acknowledgement as a form of suffering. And why does God allow death and destruction to occur? If you listen to Unconditional Love, he says, asking his mama why he has this urge to die. And I think that it was because of the extraordinary pain that he endured. The abandonment of his mother and father, the desultory, peripatetic, that is, moving around, domestic life that he had where he was homeless. By the time he was in junior high in New York, in the ghettos of the Harlem and Manhattan and the Bronx, he had moved 22 times. He was at first not a gangster or a thug, but an artsy, kind of bohemian rapper. And all of this caused him enormous difficulty because of his poetic gift. People laughed at him, or his clothes, because he didn't have many, laughed at him. And I think he endured an enormous amount of psychic and social suffering. And it came out in his music, and it came out with his rush to the grave, which was striking in one so young. There was a kind of complete denial of the possibility of hope. He proclaimed time and again, young, strapped, and don't give an F, hopeless, I'm hopeless. And that was his life.
People love to, have mercy and sympathy for everything, from the animals to the whales to fur to everything except us, your youth, the ones who you've given no attention to, who become adults with no compassion. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you walk by a street and you was walking on concrete and you saw a rose growing out of concrete, even if it had messed up petals and it was a little, to the side, you would marvel at just seeing a rose grow through concrete. So why is it that when you see some ghetto kid grow out of all of the dirtiest circumstances, and he can talk and he can sit across from you, make you smile, make you cry, make you laugh, all you can talk about is my dirty rose, my dirty stems, and how I'm leaning crooked to the side. You can't even see that I came up out of that.
Well, I think initially the sense I got in talking to different people was that people weren't talking. And the police, they were putting out a little bit of information, and their thing was, well, no one would cooperate, no one would cooperate, no one would cooperate. Well, police don't end an investigation because nobody cooperates. They continue. But Orlando Anderson, I think that was a little odd, that Orlando Anderson was taken into custody, and then, he was actually questioned at the MGM Grand and decided to leave, and that should have been a red flag right there. And then he was taken into custody later and released, and they said, well, we don't have enough evidence.
Do you know about what time Orlando was released by the MGM security?
It was about I believe it was about 2.5 hours before the shooting. And also Orlando's reasons, and I got this from the cops and a couple of other different people, was Orlando Anderson gave several different reasons for why he was in Las Vegas. Number one, he said he was here for the fight. Then he said he bought tickets. Well, he came to town, he didn't have tickets, but he bought tickets. Well, that's almost impossible. And if so, he would have had to have $2,000 to get scalp tickets. So he didn't go to the fight, so he wasn't here for the fight. Then he told the police, well, he was here to gamble. He had driven in with his girlfriend. He was very inconsistent as to why he was in town to begin with. I think that's a red flag right there. And where was he during the shooting? He didn't have an alibi.
It began before dawn. The crime sweep involved 300 officers, 10 agencies, including the FBI, at more than 37 locations in the Compton, Linwood, and Long Beach areas. Compton police say the arrests were for local crimes in connection with 12 shootings that occurred in the city of Compton that resulted in 3 deaths. But officers did reveal there could be a link to the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur.
Our investigation revealed that some of the motivation for the shootings that occurred in Compton may be in retaliation for the events that transpired in Las Vegas. But those of you who are familiar with gang activity know that gangs do retaliate for perceived violence against gang members of a particular set. The reason that we targeted the September 7th date is we noticed that we had an increase in gang activity and shootings beginning following that date.
Shakur's car was sprayed with bullets following a boxing match in Las Vegas on September 7th. The rapper died a week later from his bullet wounds. Las Vegas police were on the scene for today's sweep and will be interviewing some of those arrested, including a 22-year-old reputed gang member named Orlando Anderson, who may have been in Las Vegas that night.
Las Vegas Police Department has not announced any suspect in the Tupac Shakur shooting. There is one suspect who was arrested on a homicide which occurred in the city of Compton in April, who they will probably talk to. But as far as that goes, I would refer you to the Las Vegas Police Department for any information regarding the crime that occurred in Las Vegas.
I cannot say that we have pinpointed one particular person. There are some people, and I can't elaborate as to the names, but there are some people that came up early. There were a lot of names that came up through the course of the investigation. Many of them we could eliminate right away based on the information that was given to us, because we knew there's still some information we know that has not been made public, and it's helped us to eliminate the nonsense that comes in, and unfortunately there is a lot of that.
No, I don't think they ever had any suspects. I mean, I don't think they were looking at suspects. They never named. They even hesitated to even come close to calling Orlando Anderson a suspect. They did at one point, and then they withdrew it very quickly, like a day or so. Oh no, we never called him a suspect. Suge Knight, you know, I think that was rather interesting. That Suge Knight goes into, there he is. He's overnight. He spent the night at University Medical Center. And Tupac, of course, was there too, but Tupac was in the intensive care unit, the trauma unit, and Suge was admitted into the tower, you know, the rooms of the hotel, the hospital, spent the night there. And they released him the next morning. By the time the two detectives got to the hospital to interview Suge, he'd already been released from the hospital and they couldn't get him. They never went to his house. I mean, he lives in Las Vegas. He had a house in Las Vegas. They never interviewed him. Then they went through his attorneys, and it wasn't for 6 or 7 days that they interviewed Suge, and they interviewed him for about 20 minutes.
The day after, right off the bat, we're wanting to talk to the guy that's in the car with Tupac Shakur, Suge Knight. And we're working right away with that. And in fact, the night of the shooting, we tried to talk to him, but were refused access to him by the members of death row, attorneys. And in fact, it took 3 days to get to talk to Suge Knight.
There are a number of inconsistencies in relation to the crime scene.
First, that particular night, in the witnesses that were interviewed, there were actually 2 different types of vehicles, a white Cadillac and a white Lincoln Continental. I tend to lean more towards the Cadillac description, though the license plate the only license plate number we were given was on a Lincoln. Well, put it this way, the witness said that the car that the plate was on was a Lincoln. The plate number was thoroughly checked because the number itself was invalid, and I did every kind of mix and match that you could possibly do, and never got anything on the license plate number. As far as a Cadillac, there have probably been 50 different stories about that Cadillac called in. No 2 are the same. as far as giving chase, at the time of the shooting, and this again was some misinformation, this kind of misinformation I don't have a problem talking about. There's been talk about the officers that were in the parking garage at the time of the shooting. You got to understand, they were not in a position to see the shooting. They heard the shots, but by the time they got to a position to see, and they're elevated because they're doing another case, everybody's already darting out of there, because it wasn't like this shooting happened and all these cars just sat there. This was a very dynamic scene. Again, I'm doing that based on the witness, and again, the one particular witness that has come around, I put a lot of more credence to what he said.
Witness statements have even varied on who was the actual shooter in the white Cadillac.
With the information I've gotten from witnesses, one particular witness who has been helpful, it wouldn't be the driver from the positioning and all. And there were some witnesses that were not part of the entourage, that were just happened to be there. And again, descriptions were given of that, and the positioning of the shooter was not the driver.
No, revolvers don't leave shells, so they thought that possibly a revolver or that kind of a gun could have been used, and it wouldn't have left any evidence behind.
Physical evidence, no. Witness descriptions, that's come up, that possibly some other shots, but there's been no physical evidence of it. And again, there's only been one person that has said they thought that there was another weapon fired.
From the type of weapon that was used to the number of times he was shot, there are still many discrepancies.
I believe it was 4 or 5 that hit him. They had 10 to 12 spent.
He was struck 3 times, but one shot hit him twice. So he was hit twice in a way to where they were serious injuries.
One of the witnesses to the crime was Tupac's childhood friend and member of the Outlaws, Yafu Fula.
I didn't interview any of the witnesses.
I, in fact, interviewed Yafu Fula that night. Again, he wasn't real happy about sitting there talking to me.
The fact that the one person who says he witnessed the crime and could finger the shooter.
He did say he thought he could identify the driver. He never said he could identify the shooter.
Yafu Fula, as we know, Gaddafi, ended up dead a month, 2 months later. Both police departments in Orange County in New Jersey and the Las Vegas police said from the get-go, no, they're unrelated. I don't even think they investigated whether they were related.
When we learned that he was killed, I was on the phone right away back to New Jersey. So it wasn't because we didn't try, it's because of what we got from the very beginning with the attorneys for death row. From the interview with Suge Knight all the way through, well, we'll work on it. But no, there was no evidence of it. I talked to the investigators back there. It was quite obvious to them that this was in no way related to the Shakur killing.
There have been a number of stories in recent reports that implicate Suge Knight as being directly involved with the shooting and murder of Tupac Shakur.
I found no evidence whatsoever that death row or Suge Knight had anything to do with Tupac's shooting. I've talked to lots and lots of people, and including the LAPD, who seemed to think that they wanted to, they tried to pin it on him. And let me tell you, if the LAPD had any evidence whatsoever that Suge Knight had anything to do with either Biggie Smalls' murder or the police in Las Vegas had anything to do with Tupac or Biggie or whatever, they would have indicted him. They tried. I mean, I think that there was lots of cops trying to pin something on Suge, and it just didn't add up, and they couldn't get him. I think there's some people who would like to see him stay in prison.
You know, that's been brought up a lot. I obviously had to look at it as a possibility, but my feeling is if you're going to have someone killed, you aren't going to want to be sitting 2 feet from them in a car, and especially considering the size of Suge Knight. I mean, he's right there. The way the shooting's going on, I'm surprised he didn't get hit any more than he did. Yeah, that came up, but my personal belief is no, he didn't have anything to do with this.
The June 2001 issue of Rolling Stone stated that Frank Alexander knew why Suge Knight would have had Tupac murdered.
I have never witnessed with my eyes. I can only speak for what I have seen or what I have witnessed with my own eyes. I did not directly say now. One of the things that I read in the Rolling Stone article, me being quoted as saying, I didn't say those things. I stated in my book, Got Your Back, that I saw no reason why anyone would sit in a vehicle or next to anyone that they would put a hit on someone and be sitting next to them with the bullets flying all through the car like it did that night. Suge was a target as well as Tupac was. I stick by that. I said that in my book. Why would I have put in Rolling Stone magazine, or with this detective Poole, as he said I said these things, why would have I told him these things when I didn't even put it in my own book? It would have gone in my book before it would have gone in Rolling Stone magazine. I'm shocked that Rolling Stone magazine would even print something like that without checking secondary source. They could have gotten a hold of me through my publisher. I never said that Suge Knight was one of the shrewdest gangsters. Suge personally never did anything to me. He treated security very well, as I've stated before. There was no beef with anyone in security with Suge Knight, never. I've been interviewed by the FBI. I've been interviewed by, obviously, the Las Vegas homicide detectives, by the LAPD. Why would I have said that Suge had Biggie killed? I was no longer working for Death Row Records. I have no idea why Biggie was killed or who killed Biggie.
Do you have an idea why Tupac was killed?
No, I don't.
I mean, I have never seen any information, and there are lots of rumors, people say lots of things, and I think it's just absolutely absurd that just the notion that someone would say, yeah, I'm going to sit next to him while you open up, an automatic, handgun and fire it and hope it doesn't hit me. It's ludicrous. I don't think it happened that way.
Well, when you die so young, it's hard for other young people to identify with that because it means that they may die young. So their vulnerability is protected by protecting Tupac. If he's dead, I can die. If he's not dead, then that possibility is forestalled. So when people invest in this urban legend that they saw Tupac in Cuba, kicking it with Tupac Shakur, or he's on some paradise island, it's a way of protecting their own psyches from the vulnerable recognition that they too will and can die. Furthermore, I think that Tupac is the first candidate for the kind of cultural survival that usually is only accorded to figures like Elvis. Of course, when Charlie Parker died, people immediately went around and said, "Bird lives," and people claim to have seen him in other places. So Tupac by no means is the first, but I think the most extraordinary black example of survival in this post-industrial urban spaces.
Tupac had a special gift. I truly believe it. And I think that part of that gift was the sense of prophecy.
Well, I think he definitely had, what Freud called thanatos, which is this love of death, this death wish and at the same time believing that that was his destiny. He was haunted by his own destiny, addicted to death, so to speak.
He started feeling that he was going to die, and he already had in his mind and said it in his heart that he was going to die at a young age. Tupac never thought he would live to be 30.
Death was always linked to him in his own rhetoric to suffering. So for him, the rhetorical acknowledgement of death was always linked to its acknowledgement as a form of suffering. And why does God allow death and destruction to occur?
His death, he had lyrically spoke about it a lot in his songs. It was his time. September 13th, 1996 was his time to go, and it was pre-planned. There was nothing that I could have done. No one else could have done anything. Had that been the case, it would have happened. The shooters would have been found out. We would know who killed him. God had it already planned for his life. His mom and I even spoke on that, and I wrote that in my paperback edition of my book, Got Your Back. And she said to me, Frank, baby, there was nothing that you could have done that night. Tupac Shakur's life was planned, and it was going to end September 13th, 1996. You and no one else could have done anything. That brought a lot of peace to my heart right there when she and I finally had the conversation. After 2 years, from the time that he was shot up until, I think it was around June, July of 1998, that she and I spoke. And it relieved a lot of feelings for me to have spoke with her and had pretty much her blessings that she wasn't upset at me and it wasn't a problem with me. And no one else really matters. It's his mother that mattered to me. And I got her answer. So only God could judge me. And that's the end of that one.
I cannot die with people thinking I'm a rapist or a criminal. I can't leave until this is straight. You know, I'm not suicidal. I can't go until y'all really know what time it is. And then after that, boom, it's all over. And we can see, you know, how this shit fall. But that's how it is. And the reason being is because if I can't live free, if I can't live with the same respect as the next man, I don't want to be here.
Out of shell, feeling empty. Visions of God in the 750. Angels should have touched your forehead so your eyes could see. Slumped down so the slugs miss T. UP, AC, then we wouldn't have this mystery. Still be dropping gems, doing your thing, lovely. 9-6 voice, 2000 track ain't the same to me. But I accept what we get for real, thankfully. Imagine now where your mind and your lyrics would be. But that ain't how I envisioned your last ride. Solidified, thugs cried when thug life died. A lot of MCs in their mind try to carry on. But without the backbone, you know they not as strong. Spineless minds, thoughts confined, knew it all along. Some know how you got gone, and yo, they dead wrong. You hear me? Enemies missing you in they songs. Speaking to you, Pac. I know them ears open, all of our hearts coping, your spirit floating. And that ain't how I envisioned your last ride. Can't none take the position from which you claim. Without you, these realest phonies wouldn't have a name. Still picture you rolling, straight up Henny holding, wishing we can see you older. Gray, teaching children more, knowing you had more to say. Hip-hop, pick up the pace, it's time to graduate. Quit specializing in manipulating brothers' fates. On the pave, hands folded, gripping where it aches. Never could I envision that as your last ride. Strolling on red carpets for the motion pictures. Leaving lecture halls in a trance with your mind's thoughts. Promote your words on the stones, recognize the scriptures. At least it's finally relief in all the demons you fought. At least there's finally relief in all the demons you fought. At least there's finally relief in all the demons you fought. But that ain't how I envisioned your last ride. Check it. It just ain't how I envisioned your last ride. I mean, never could I envision that as your last ride.